Hey gang, Tony here with a slightly different kind of video. This one is for all my fellow video game nerds. I recently picked up a large lot of Nintendo 64 stuff. I'll just pan up really quick and show you all the games and systems and stuff here. Oh, and some Rumble packs and things over there. But anyway, I thought I would do a quick video to show you how to clean up one of these Nintendo 64 carts cosmetically on the outside. Specifically, I'm talking about those annoying permanent markers that are sometimes on the outside. I have a couple of tricks to get that off. And also, slightly less detailed, but these property of Blockbuster stickers that are on a lot of the Nintendo 64 carts that you find out in the wild. So I'm going to show you a couple little tricks that I've learned about these things. What I have here is a cart that I have already cleaned off. It did have the number. All of these games that I picked up were numbered on the top. So I've already cleaned off the number. It did also have a sticker over the front of this one, but I was lucky in that, now you could see there is still some sticker here. I was lucky in that the front part was already kind of coming off, and I was able to peel it off really easily. Here's the sticker itself. Now, if you get lucky with these, what'll happen is as they get older, it might get kind of dried up and fragile, and you could kind of just peel it off without any damage. And I'll show you how you know if you can do that. Otherwise, I would strongly suggest you do not take those stickers off, because in a case like my copy of Tarzan here, someone tried to take the sticker off and they ended up peeling the entire back label off. And that's more often than not what's going to happen if you just try peeling these off, is it's going to take the label with it. There are tricks to getting them off with hair dryers or heat guns, but it's a little more trouble than it's worth in my opinion. And frankly, those stickers do protect the label in a sense, and the only annoyance really is that it says property of Blockbuster. I'm going to show you a little trick for that as well. Alright, so what you need for this would be some good 91% isopropyl alcohol. That's kind of my go-to. But I'm also going to use a trick here that, believe it or not, uses a dry erase marker. And we're also going to employ the use of some WD-40. This is going to do the job of what a Goo Gone might do. A lot of people don't realize this, but WD-40 is good for taking off some adhesives and things. And that's actually what I used on this Blues Brothers cart. I would avoid labels if possible, although I did use it on the label anyway because there was some adhesive there, and it doesn't do much damage, or any damage really. It made it look more vibrant in my opinion, but you may want to avoid using WD-40 right on the label. Alright, so getting into this now. First of all, let's do the number trick. So we have these numbers here. You're going to need a little paper towel or some Q-tips. I like to use paper towel while taking the numbers off because you could get a little more pressure on the cart, and you're going to need to get some pressure on there. And I like to keep my isopropyl alcohol in a spray bottle so it avoids any evaporation, because this stuff evaporates really quickly. Now, most people know this already, but if you take the alcohol and just kind of rub at the number, it's gonna come off pretty well. You gotta give it some, see, it's coming off there. You gotta give it a little pressure and really have to kind of work it, but it will eventually come off. See, there it's going. And I'm gonna go through this whole step because I want to show you the difference in the other way to do this. So you could kind of see that there's still a little bit on there, and if you just keep working it, eventually you can get most of it off, all of it off. Now I want to show you this other trick, which is kind of interesting. So I'll take that Tarzan card again. We have a number on there as well. And what I do here is you take your dry erase marker and you draw over the number, which I know sounds kind of crazy, but that's what you do. Kind of draw over it. You could work it in there a little bit where you know the number is. Just kind of get in there and take a dry paper towel. So I'm not using alcohol on this. This is just paper towel, and wipe away the dry erase marker. And the number kind of just goes along with it. And again, you might have to work it a little, but most of it should come off. And then if you still see a little bit on there, you could always go back in, give it a little more of the marker, give it a little more of the rubbing it off, and pretty good. There you go. Now I usually will go back in there with the alcohol anyway, just to kind of clean it off in case there's any excess. And if you get any in the crevice there, in the crack, you could always open this up if you feel like it's if you're bothered by seeing anything there. And that pretty much does it. So there you go, getting rid of those permanent markers on your carts. Not too hard. I actually like the use of the dry erase marker. As you can see, it's pretty well gone at this point. Really hard to see anything on there, as opposed to the one that used only alcohol. You could kind of still see a little bit. Sorry about the focusing there. You could kind of still see a little bit. So I might go back in there with the dry erase marker to get that last bit off of there. Okay, so that's getting rid of the dry erase markers. Next, if you have these property of Blockbuster stickers on there and you see something lifting off on its own like this, that is usually a good indication that you're going to be able to peel this off without there being any real damage. More often than not, it's just going to be on the spine, right? You're not going to really want to pull this off of here unless you see it looking like this down here somewhere. In this case, I do not see that. So what I've been doing is just taking one of my knives and kind of cutting it off. And then I could clean this up, the little ragged edge there, I could clean up later. But I just wanted to show you that this part is easy enough to get off. So now you are done with that, and what you're left with is a pretty ugly looking spine. It's got the residue from the adhesive still on there. This one is not sticky, but in some cases it might even still be kind of sticky on there, which is even worse. You could see that it's shiny and just not pleasant looking. So this is where the WD-40 comes into play. I'll take a new piece of paper towel and I'll get my WD-40, just spray a bit on a folded up piece of the paper towel right here. I like to get a good amount in there, make sure that you have enough on there to do the job. And again, there are other types of things that you could use, like Goo Gone and whatnot, but WD-40 is just always in my house, and I think it's cheaper too. So, and then we're gonna pretty much work that edge there and hopefully get most of this adhesive off. So take a good look, and I'm gonna just work that for a little while and see what we come up with. Take a look, see that some of that's coming off. Could still see a little bit on there, so I'm gonna go back in. Okay, where I was just working. See a little more there. Alright, and you could see that that's going. It's a little bit left. And obviously, it takes a little bit of patience and work, but as you go through, you're going to get most of that adhesive off of there. The shine you're seeing now is just a WD-40. So that's pretty clean at this point. Doesn't take a whole lot of work at all, actually. That was seconds. There's a little more in the corner there. I'm not going to make you wait as I clean this perfectly, but you get the idea. Pretty good, right? Now, the only other thing I would say is you don't want to leave that WD-40 on there necessarily. So, what I like to do is just get some more paper towel, get some more of that alcohol, spray it on there, and clean off whatever residue is left from your WD-40 with a little bit of alcohol. And generally speaking, I like to clean off pretty much the entire cart with alcohol. This stuff evaporates incredibly quickly. It doesn't leave any residue behind, and is my preference when it comes to general disinfection and cleaning of the carts. And it'll just kind of take off most of the general stuff. So as you can see, well, if my camera wants to focus, there you go. As you can see, it's starting to look pretty good here. Obviously, there's still this little tab that I have to deal with a scissor, but I don't want to take too much time for that. The spine is looking pretty good. And then on the back, we still have this sticker with the property of Blockbuster. So that brings us to the last thing I want to show you. Now, obviously, there is still the issue of cleaning out the contacts. Most of you already know how to do that, but in case you don't, if you could open up the cart, I'm not going to do that in this video, but basically take a Q-tip with some alcohol on it and get in there and clean it out. If it's still not working, the cart, if the game doesn't work, then you could consider opening it up and getting in there with maybe a little bit of Brasso and then more alcohol. But again, I'm not going to do that in this video. Alright, so here's the deal. This property of Blockbuster stuff, and it's also on the front right there, you can scrape that off. You could take a knife and scrape it if it bothers you. The thing to keep in mind here is that as you're scraping away the property of Blockbuster, it is going to put a little bit of indentation on your label. So I'm going to look for if I have a good example of what I mean there. I think I did it on... Nope, not there. Just looking for a game that I might have scraped away a little of property of Blockbuster. I think on this one, yeah. Alright, so this is the sticker. And property of Blockbuster used to be on there like that. Now you can still see that there's the blue in here because I didn't really get in there. And if you look really closely, you could see there's still some blue that I didn't get to because it's kind of in the indentations of the Nintendo and it's harder to get. But more importantly, if you look really closely, and if I could get to focus here, you see how you could kind of see the scrapes. Now that's not on the cart, that's just on the sticker. But since the sticker is pretty much permanently on there, that's what it's going to look like when you scrape off property of Blockbuster. So that's kind of your call. You can scrape it off, but it's going to leave slight... It's hard to see unless you're kind of getting the reflection of it, but it is going to leave a little bit of marking there. So it's your call if you think that looks better or if you think that looks better. But that is an option if you want to try to take those off. Alright, so that's going to do it. Well, maybe I'll just show you really quickly on... since this is already kind of messed up, I'll use this one. So you could see there that it pretty much is just reflective. Now, there goes the blue. Just taking that knife. I try to do it as lightly as possible and not mess anything up. So that took away the blue. Let's see if I could get a focus on that. But see, right along there where I was scraping, you could kind of see the scrape lines on the sticker. Now again, that's not the label, but for all intents and purposes, it's going to be your label. So again, depending on what you think is better, you don't really see that if you're just looking straight on, but if you get a reflection, if you catch that reflection, you could see it there. So those are all my little tips and tricks. Again, I hope this was helpful, and sorry that the video went kind of long, but I wanted to get good detail on everything. So I have to get to these guys now and try to clean them up as much as possible. Have a good one, everybody. Take it easy.